Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands on which we are recording. The Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Eastern Kulin Nation. We pay our deepest respect to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to all First Nations people, and we honour their sovereignty was never ceded. We acknowledge that their enduring and unbroken connection and contributions to country, land, waterway, sky, culture and communities. We stand with them in their ongoing calls for truth-telling, treaty, sovereignty, justice and reconciliation. This was, and always will be, Aboriginal land. Before we begin, quick heads up. This episode contains references to colonisation, disposition of First Nations land, and death. If you're not in the right headspace for this, please feel free to pause, skip, or listen to one of our lighter episodes. Cross our well. Your well-being comes first, as always. And if you choose to listen, please, as always, listen with care. It's Australia's second university. A sandstone, giant, pristine protest and some very particular secrets, from Nobel Prize winners to Gothic cloisters, from madness to the bones beneath your feet. Parkville is more than just a precinct. It's a precedent of power, for power, prestige, and the price of protest. Welcome to Down the Yarra, the podcast that takes you on a deep dive into the heart and soul of Naarm, Melbourne, and South Central Victoria. Whether you're a local or just curious, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Andy. Today, we're heading to the intellectual heart of the city, the University of Melbourne and the Parkville precinct. But don't worry, it's not all Latin mottos and lecture halls, lecture theatres, with graveyards, gaslights, and mad mates too. Let's rewind back to 1853. The Victorian gold rush is in full fling, and Victoria is no longer a backwater. It's a colonial powerhouse. But it's desperate for something that the old world has in spades. It's prestige. Enter the University of Melbourne, found in same year as the State Library and just before Melbourne Museum and the Royal Exhibition Building. It was the key in the cultural jigsaw puzzle designed to make Melbourne the London of the Southern Hemisphere. But here's the thing. It didn't build it in the middle of the city. They actually built it on what was once the suburbs, outskirts of the city, Parkville. At the same time, it was open land. Quite still, the land wasn't empty by any stretch. It had long been the place of the Wurundjeri significance. Seasonal grounds, ceremonial routes, and gathering places. The colonial project once again saw it as terra nullius, empty land. And so, Parkville Precinct begins, establishing tradition of scientific research, intellectual inquiry, and the power that's been growing ever since. The University of Melbourne campus is like a museum and battleground at the same time. You've got sandstone pillars that look like Hogwarts, lecture halls named after colonial figures, the laboratories where medical breakthroughs were made. But also, they got graffiti covered walls in the 70s and protest students, activists who tore up lawns for Aboriginal land rights, and buildings named after beneficiaries whose wealth came from pastoral empires, or even worse. It's a place of contradictions. Scholarships and settler colonisation, rebellion and establishment, memory and regret and forgetting. And then there's the underbelly of the whole thing. To many people, yet many people don't know this, but the University of Melbourne is just a stone's throw away from the Melbourne General Cemetery, established in 1852. Some of the earliest burials extended beyond current border, possibly even beneath the area of the university itself. Construction workers over the years have found uncovered human remains, likely belonged to those buried before the cemetery was formulated. Indigenous remains to unknown to exist in the broader Parkville area. In fact, the entire area, university hospitals and research facilities are all set within the zone that witnessed over a century of burials, buildings and biomedical expansion. In the precinct, it's a precinct layered with the life and death, learning and loss. Let's break the tension with a bit of movie magic. Now, you might not know the leafy park just beside the University Square, was a film location in the original Mad Max movie in 1979. When Goose gets touched by the boat gang, that's Parkville. Yeah, before it was dominated by elite, by medicine and green gentrification. It was the gritty, petrol-soaked dystopia of George Miller's imagination. Now, the same square is being redeveloped as part of the Metro Tunnel, present and linked directly to the future Parkville station, serving the University Royal Melbourne Hospital, Peter Mac Cancer Centre, Royal Women's and the Children's Hospital. We're watching transformation of a space that was once a boundary edge now became central again, just in a different context. In recent years, Parkville Precinct exploded into one of the largest biomedical research hubs in the Southern Hemisphere. We're talking over 10,000 researchers and clinicals, more than $1 billion worth of annual research in income, and partnerships stretching from Doherty Institute to Walter and Eliza Hall Institute and the CSIRO. And in 2020, it was here that Australia's first COVID-19 lab-grown virus RIP took place, an critical step in the vaccine development. This was where science meets the CBD, where 19th century colonial vision collides with 21st century genetic engineering. But not everyone's on board with the Parkville vision. Some argue that gentrification, co-op of research and loss of green spaces is turning the area into a kind of gilded ivory tower, raising rents and further pushing students further out. Further, park redevelopment plans have seen all trees removed, old heritage trees removed, heritage cottages being taken and converted into sleeker offices. Is a story told before one down the year tension between public good and private gain, between heritage and progress? Next time on Down the Yarra, we'll take you across the road, quite literally, to the Melbourne General Cemetery. It's not just a resting place. For premises and parallels, it's a microcosm of Melbourne's class system, immigration stories, and even scandals. Guess is the last lost grave and one very suspicious pyramid tomb? Coming up next episode on Down the Yarra. If you've enjoyed this walk through Parkville Precinct, power and sandstone secrets, hit the like button and subscribe. Leave a comment. Draw on your favourite university or parkville memory. Share it in the comments, please. We'd love to hear them. We'd love to hear your stories. Follow us on Threads, Insta, and Facebook at down the Yarra down underscore the underscore Yarra podcast, or find us on TikTok at Andrew Kenny 83, and hit the follow on Podbean so you don't miss another audio episode. Till next time, look both ways before you cross Royal or Grattan Street. There's always more history hiding in plain sight.